Still ain't right.
What ain't right? You hear? Welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing. I think we need a makeup artist or something now. That way we can get our hair right. Or I just wear my hat.
Not a whole lot of help for that. All right, let's go.
All right, come on, Bobby. Where are you?
We got a full show tonight.
Shit. There we go. Let's talk racing. How you doing tonight?
Good, and you?
I'm having fun. Me and Al sitting here trying to get into everything. We got Bobby McCarty on the line with us, newly crowned champion of the past series. How's that working for you?
It's really good. It's always nice when it pays off after a long season of putting in a lot of hard work and a lot of extra hours. So to finally cap it all off, it feels great.
I was thinking last Saturday of going out to South Boston and checking it. When I got done at work, which ended about around 2 o'clock, I took a look and I said, "Oh my God, you guys already had started early."
Yeah, I'm glad they moved the drink thing up. It started to get pretty cold right there, and you want it cool outside. The tires have more grip, the engines make more power, but after a certain degree, everything starts to lose grip and it don't work as good. So glad they moved it up.
Cool. Now, those that haven't heard you before on the show, go ahead and give a little bit of bio about yourself so they get to know you.
All right. I started racing go-karts when I was 6, and we did that for about 12 years, and then we moved up to the Alex Lacey series and did that for a couple of years, and then we run limited to South Boston for 2 years, full-time locally, and we won the championship in quite a few races, and after that we moved up to late model and run late model at South Boston full-time locally, and all in all in the late model we've won about 7 races there, and then after that we decided to run the car store this year as the first touring division I've run in the full-size car, and everything worked out pretty good for our first year, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I do remember you won this really big check someplace called Langley Speedway.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah, I still laugh at that because Timothy was much more happy than you seemed to be.
I was, believe it or not, I was still in disbelief. I thought I was dreaming. I was waiting to wake up any second, but we had a really good weekend, 2 years ago at Langley, and I believe we had a shot at it last year, and until contact getting in a 3, knocked a toe in 3/4 of an inch, and we was able to hold on for 3rd, but that definitely hurt our chances at contending for the win.
Yeah. Now, explain to us what it is about the past series. What is it makes it different than the regular Saturday night late model stuff?
Well, the competition for the most part. You got a junior motorsports team with Josh Berry and Sam Mayer, and you got Deke McCaskill and Creekmore, and just the competition you race with is really tough. If you really look at the 15 or so cars that run every car store race, if any of them was to win, it really wouldn't be a surprise. And if you look at what the car store has going with the competition, and you look at your local stuff, not taking anything away from the local guys, but normally you see the same 2 or 3 cars contending for wins week in and week out. And with the car store, you travel so much and get all these different tracks, and you always wind up at somebody's hometown track or where they started. So you always had different people up front every weekend. And that just makes the competition so much more difficult and a lot more challenging. and it's always nice going to different racetracks this year. We've went to quite a few that I haven't been to before, and I really enjoyed that part of it. So, they just got a lot of good things going, and then the payout on top of that, the payout is extremely well. So they got a lot of good things going, and they're doing a lot of big things, So just a lot more laid back season, but definitely had a lot more fun doing the car store.
Cool. Well, they're going to be having you guys going to be stopping out at Langley next year.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. The guys at Langley that run there locally, they're really tough, and I always compare them. When we go to Martinsville, and most of the time the guys that run top 5 at Langley are in the top 5 at Martinsville or the top 10. So I'm sure those guys are going to run it. They're going to be tough, but I think it's going to be a really good race.
Are the cars the same late models as that you'd see on a regular Saturday night?
Yeah, for the most part. The car store is a little bit more strict on body stuff and things like that compared to NASCAR. But other than that, for the most part, they're about identical.
Bobby, where other than South Boston and Langley next year, what is your series run? Give me 2 or 3 or 4 of the tracks that you go to with the past series.
Next year they got Southern National on the schedule. They also got Langley, Motor Mile, obviously South Boston again, Hickory, Orange County, Old Dominion. So they pretty much go almost everywhere. And that's really the cool thing. This year we did Hickory and Orange County, South Boston. We did Carteret. We went to Bristol. But next year the schedule was the same amount of races, but for the most part it's all different tracks. And I think that's one thing that is really cool about what they're doing is even though it's a touring series, they're still not just touring the same tracks every year. They change it up and do a lot of different tracks. So you go from really flat tracks like Carteret or Langley, and then you go to really bank tracks like Motor Mile or Southern National, and everywhere in between. So, when it comes to your preference as a driver, flat and slick or things with a lot of grip, they kind of go everywhere.
Cool.
Is it 8 or 10 or 12 races? How many? I guess how many events make up the season?
They have 12 races on the schedule, 11 points races. The 12th race is a road course race at Old Dominion, which isn't a points race. But this year we had 12 points races. Next year they're going to do 11.
Tell them that.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, everybody, when I was saying past series, that was another one. It's actually the Cars Tour series that we're talking about.
So you messed up again.
I boo-booed.
Oh, I swear.
That's sad, Bobby, and and all that help I do too.
It's all good.
Hey, are you going to be out at the Dominion this weekend?
No. We're actually doing at the Autos by Nelson Toyota dealership. We're doing a customer appreciation day. So we'll be cooking out some hot dogs, playing some cornhole. Just giving back to all the customers that show up to Autos by Nelson and give Barry the support, and buy cars from them and stuff like that. So we're going to do some stuff for the customers, and hopefully some fans will come on out too. I'll be out there signing autographs and stuff. So doing that this weekend, I'm really looking forward to that. It should be a good time.
Saturday, Sunday, come on, give us the specifics so everybody can know about it.
It's Saturday, like I said, at the Autos by Nelson Toyota dealership from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Cool. They're going to have Martinsville hot dogs? I doubt it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, look like you had a question now.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Homestead.
Oh, you're thinking about Homestead already? Joe
Stone Crabs.
Oh.
That's what I'm waiting for.
So you see what Al's mind's on. He's always got it on food.
That's not true.
Well,
If I got to be
if Phoenix, you're going to talk about.
If I've got to be somewhere 3 or 4 days and I'm at the racetrack from 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock, yeah, I'm thinking about food at some point.
In-N-Out burgers and.
Absolutely. Bobby, where does the you don't need to say it's a big deal if it's not, but where does the Langley victory stand among your career wins? Where does it rank?
It's it's right at the top. Winning the Car Store Championship, and for me, as a driver, you want to win races, but ultimately it comes down to winning a championship. You got to be able to win races and still be consistent at the same time. So for me right now, the Car Store Championship is obviously the highest achievement on my career. But after that, I definitely say Langley is right there. First time going there, first time racing there, and to come away with the win at the biggest race at Langley for the year, was a big accomplishment for me. I really enjoyed it. Bill and those guys, they have a great facility, and they work really hard to make sure the racing is really good and making sure all the competitors feel welcomed and wanted to be there. And when it comes down to it, that's all competitors look for, is to feel welcome and get a fair shake. And they do that. I've run that race 2 years straight, and this year was no different. Last year I felt just as welcome, and I had just as much fun, even though we didn't win. But Langley's just got a really good deal going on, and the fans of Langley, they support that place more than any other fans I've ever seen in any other racetrack. I mean, they're 100% behind that racetrack, and that's what it all comes down to. If fans don't show up, then that pretty much ends the whole deal for everybody. So we need our fans. We need all our fans to come out and watch real short track racing. And thankfully, the people of Langley, they come out every weekend and they want to see us go at it. So a big thank you to them, and like I said, everybody at Bill, with Bill and his crew, for putting that deal on. But yeah, Langley's definitely at the top.
Yeah. Last question or two. Was it any sweeter knowing that when you came in here that night, sort of not many people expected you to win? They had heard of other people. They may not have been as familiar with you. Did you leave here that night saying to yourself, "My God, they'll remember me next time"? Was it that one of those kind of deals?
As a driver, I like to fly under the radar. And to be honest, if I go somewhere new, or if I'm going somewhere and people are like, "Oh, this is his first time, he's not going to do that good," and they just got low expectations for me. That's really when I put my elbows up and I go to work. I definitely like being the underdog, just because I like to surprise people and rise to the occasion. So going in, I was definitely looking forward to that race. And when we left, we actually joked about it when we were shutting the lift gate on the hauler, and was when we come back, people was going to be expecting us to be up front. We're not going to be able to fly under the radar no more. So, it was cool, but at the same time, I like to be under the radar. Just kind of show up at the end and win the race is all I want to do. I don't want people stop watching me every time I go out, or watching my line and listening to where I let off and pick up and stuff like that. I just want to show up and kind of be quiet up until about the last 50 laps of the race, and then come to life. So, it was really cool being the underdog, and now people expect it. So I don't like that aspect as much as being the underdog.
Okay.
Hey Al, if you ever go out to the kart racing place down in Newport News, don't be racing against him. He's wicked.
Oh, okay.
Come on now.
Am I telling anything that's not true?
No, we
It's all fun anyway.
Yeah, you can race a lot harder in the go-karts. You don't have to pay to fix them, so you can you can race a lot harder than those.
Yeah. All right, we're going ahead and let you get out of here. Do a quick rundown and shout out to your sponsors, and if you want to, replay on your little hoop-de-doo you got going this weekend.
Yes, sir. Definitely got to thank everybody at Autos by Nelson and Nelson Motorsports. Kirk Ipock with Solid Rock Carriers, AR Bodies, Blue Ridge Color Company, Castrol, BST Shocks, the Three Amigos, my spotter Tony Arnold, David Triplett, Marcus Richmond, Timothy Peters, my mom, my dad, my wife for putting up with the late nights and not being here on the weekends. Just everybody that puts work and time into these cars. I can't thank all of them enough, and none of this would be possible without them. So a big thank you to everybody I mentioned. And again, if you're in the Martinsville area, we're doing customer appreciation at the Autos by Nelson Toyota dealership from 10 to 3. Got hot dogs, cornhole tournament. I think the winner gets $500 for that. Doing random draws throughout every hour for $100. Got a lot of cool things going on this weekend at the dealership, and like I said, I'll be there with the championship car, taking pictures, signing autographs. Like I said, we'll have some food and stuff. So if you're out there in the Martinsville area, swing on by. We'll have a good time.
Okay.
Cool beans. You have to send me a couple of pictures from out there.
Yes, sir. I'll do it.
All right. Go ahead and have yourself a good one, and we'll talk to you again later on, Bobby.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
No problem. Love to talk with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. 804 380 1824.
Hello?
Randy Hallman, Albert Pearce.
Albert Pearce, how are you?
I'm fine. How you getting along tonight?
I'm getting along fine in my confused state.
Yeah, well,
join the group.
We're all in there with you. Let me tell our viewers and listeners, we got Randy Hallman on the line from Richmond Times-Dispatch, a member of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, one of the most intelligent, articulate, deep-thinking, philosophical motorsports journalist you'll ever find. He looks deep into any subject and finds the things that mortals like myself just sort of gloss over. So, Randy, what we want you to do is, you're obviously pretty aware of everything that happened today with Kevin Harvick and NASCAR and penalties and points and money and vacated advance win, if you want to call it that. You've been doing this a long time. You've seen a lot of stuff, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What is your take on not disqualifying a driver? What is your take on taking a victory from a driver so far as an advancement situation 3 days after the race or 2 days after the race in an inspection that was nowhere near the racetrack? How do you feel about all that?
Well, yeah, I think the key is the days after the race, and if I understand it right, it didn't get announced till today, and that's just I can't quite accept that they're going to spend that long and remind us, fans, writers, people who are interested, that we really don't know what happened until days later, until that, hauled the car back to the R&D center and taken another look and spent however long they spend and then dither over it, I guess, and decide what kind of penalty exactly it's going to be. It seems to me that it puts a cloud over Harvick, over all of his wins, because he's had 2 of these now this year, and over the sport itself. It's just a bad look for NASCAR. And I mean, here we go. We're all right. Fans got 2 Sundays now to kind of shake this off, and if they're so inclined to watch the last race and see what happens among the four who make the cut, which of them prevails, and then wait a few more days and see if it was for real. I mean, it doesn't sit well at all. I just can't approve of it. Not that anybody's seeking my approval at NASCAR, but it's a problem. It's a big problem.
Randy, you were on the scene, on the fringes of the scene, when Big Bill retired, Bill France Sr. And Big Bill is famous for saying that I'm not going to disqualify winner because I don't want people to drive home on Sunday night thinking they saw Curtis Turner win and pick up the next day's paper and find out that it was, Fireball Roberts. Have we reached a point, Randy, in stock car racing where we may have to start taking victories away from people and move them to the bottom of the grid and elevate the second place guy? And if you do that, do we have to inspect the second place guy to the same extent as we did the winner?
Well, there's always that problem, and that's one reason they don't, make the number two guy the winner, because they haven't subjected the number two guy to the same scrutiny. It is a problem. My main thing is really just get it over with. If it takes all night and we have to wait till the next morning, well, okay. But waiting until Wednesday to find out just seems, extreme to me. If you can't inspect that car enough in one day, maybe the rules need to be simplified. It seems to me they've got to get a handle on this thing and get the inspections done over with, so that at least by sometime the next morning we know for sure whether it was for real or not. And I don't know, do they have to keep all the cars there until they find one that's legal? Whatever it takes, just get it done.
They did that at Martinsville way back. You remember many a night we drove home from Martinsville after a late model show, and it went from Ronnie Thomas to pick a driver to pick another guy, and they finally got one. But we didn't know till we got home that the guy we had just watched win did not win. The other thing that worries me, Randy, is, and it may be completely bogus, but if I'm Tony Stewart, I may go to NASCAR and say, listen, you looked at my car twice on Friday, twice on Saturday, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and everything was fine. We gave it to you. You put it in your hauler. You took it back to your garage, and you found something wrong with it. Does Tony have a case, or should he have a case?
Well, Tony could make that case, just as you say. I do want to say here that the inspection process, and Elton Sawyer oversees it, and Elton is, I believe, one of the most reliable people in this sport or any sport. I think he's doing the very, very best possible job. I think he needs to be armed with whatever it takes, a moving R&D facility, whatever it takes. Take a couple of extra haulers and go to the track, go to Texas with it, so that it can all get done right there, right then. And in that way, Tony could stand by the car the whole time if he wants to. But you're right. It's if you're going to get down to the following the evidence, then yeah, somebody's fingerprints might be on there that shouldn't be, and you can't prove that it's not the case. So yeah, that's yet another layer of difficulty added to the procedure the way it's done now.
You remember as well as I do. You and I stood around many a garage area back in the day.
Yeah.
And they take the winning car and put it up on a rollback and strap it down and do an engine run, and then they do, I guess, a downforce. They were checking aerodynamic specs on the back of a vehicle in the garage area that everybody could stand around and watch. I'm sure that got to be a little bit prohibitive, so they now take it back to the R&D center. I think Ricky Craven had a pretty good idea. Ricky Craven told me recently, basically, if you pass all of your pre-race techs and they let you race and you pass post-race, they should let you take that car back to your shop and the event, the deal is over. Does that sound good to you, or do you still think there should be a Monday or Tuesday look-see somewhere?
Well, I think if they feel that they must inspect further, which is, that's up for a question. If they feel that all the several pre-race and the post-race inspections are not quite adequate, then and they want to add yet another post-race closer scrutiny, they just need to do it at the track. They need to have everything they need right there. I mean, NASCAR is a big-time deal. They just can't spend a day hauling the car back from Texas to Concord or from Las Vegas to Concord as they did in the race early this season back in March when Harvick had the same thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
It just prolongs the thing too much. I mean, am I going to watch that race at Homestead, Miami, and then sort of keep checking the paper until Wednesday?
Yeah.
It's checking the internet. Is this, is it going to stand? Is this the real deal? Let's get it done.
Yeah. Well, apparently the race winner will be the race winner whether he's legal or not. My question is, what if the champion finishes fourth or fifth? He was the best of the four, but he was only fourth or fifth. He didn't have to go. Well, now they certainly look at him too. I can't imagine the PR nightmare if they ever had to say on Tuesday, our champion's car was terribly out of spec, but he's still the champion. If you know what I mean. So.
I know. There's no good way to end that. It's either, it's either it was out of spec, but he's still the champion, or it's out of spec and he's not the champion. It doesn't work either way. You gotta finish it, and have it done with. I don't know. It's a tough job.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in charge of NASCAR inspections because you got geniuses, master mechanics, engineers on every team or every good team, trying every possible way to push that margin or go past it if they can. And it's a tough job.
All right, listen, I appreciate you. I know you're out for an event with your wife tonight, so I appreciate you taking 8 or 10 or 12 minutes to give us your insight. Yeah, you're right. It's NASCAR's worst fear would be that Harvick doesn't make it to Homestead, and then he wins the race, and the guy that finishes 14th in the race wins the championship. That's their most recent horrible nightmare scenario. If Harvick doesn't make it but still wins the race.
We got a whole another show, Al, on what's wrong with the playoff system. Loading everything into this one race among 4 drivers is I've never liked it. I can stand it if you got a 10-race playoff, but to me you need the whole 10 races to add up rather than carving it down to one race and letting just some. I mean, you have 4 guys, but they're out there with 36 other guys, and all kinds of ridiculous things can happen that would decide the championship. I've never liked that. So.
And don't dare tell me this is our version of the Super Bowl, because you got 40 teams out there. Super Bowl's only got 2, so there you go.
Exactly. You got. It's one thing to have New England and Seattle play for it after you carve it down. But if New England and Seattle are playing for it and the Redskins are out there running around, things are different.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I ran into a Redskin, so it ruined me.
Randy, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Sure.
Please give Ann my regards.
Thanks for having me on, Al, anytime.
give Ann my regards and say hello to Hunter, and I'll see you whenever I see you.
Yes, indeed. Same with you and yours.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
Randy. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I've known that young man for 50-some years. He
That long? Oh,
he
gosh.
came to the Daily Press shortly after I started and watched how much fun I was having covering racing and decided to go to Richmond and be their racing writer. So, all right, we got another call to make. 704 616 8815. Kenny Bruce down in Charlotte. Used to write for NASCAR.com, NASCAR Scene, Autoweek. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Woo.
This is Ken.
Kenny Bruce, Albert Pearce.
Hello, Mr. Pearce.
How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Kenny, appreciate you taking time out of your busy Wednesday night to give us about 10 minutes of your wisdom and experience and knowledge and insight and wisdom and all that good stuff.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, right. Thank goodness this is TV and not. I mean, we don't have a TV camera on you, so you look like Tom Selleck. You really are a good-looking young man.
You're not going to snowball him as much as the other guy?
Yeah, just so people will know, Kenny and I have known each other forever. You're from the Bristol area originally, is that correct?
No, originally closer to Martinsville.
Oh, okay.
But
you
I lived in the Bristol area.
That's right. That's right.
Quite a number of years.
Yeah. Kenny covered NASCAR very thoroughly and very competently for years. Worked for NASCAR Scene, worked for NASCAR.com. Just like our previous interviewee, Kenny's a member of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. And I'm sure that whatever he has to say will be absolutely spot on. So we're going to put you under the pressure gun right now, Kenny.
Oh, thanks.
Isn't it nice of your friends to do that to you?
The four car must have been cleared probably twice on Friday in Tech, maybe once Saturday before qualifying, once Saturday after qualifying, maybe certainly on Sunday before and after. If you've been cleared through Tech that many times, and you're the driver and the owner, the crew chief, how do you take the news that, oh, by the way, when we got your car back to our shop, it flunked? How does that? You've been around forever, Kenny. How does that work?
Well, that's a really good question, and I wish there was an easy answer, but there's not. But the thing that I think of is, you remember when we went through the whole thing with the flared side skirts and the crewmen slamming their bodies into the cars on pit road to alter the aerodynamics of the cars. These are things that happened after the cars had passed inspection. And then, some things they could claim, well, that was race damage. But something like a spoiler, that the Harvick car, that those guys were dinged for, obviously that wasn't the case there. But I'm assuming that it was something that they did to the spoiler after they had gone through inspection all those times. And by the way, they can go more than that. I mean, when they work on their car at the track, they don't have to wait for an official pre-qualifying inspection or pre-race inspection. They can roll it over there and go through the system anytime they please if they feel like, they want to make sure that they're correct.
Isn't there an after race inspection as well?
Yeah, there is, but depending on the track, they check certain things, and then some of it's taken back. They always take some back to the R&D center to do a more thorough investigation to break down, the engines and things like that they won't normally do at the racetrack. But yeah, they inspect them, but like I say, it depends on what track they're at. I mean, they'll do spoiler checks at some tracks. They'll do, super speedway races, typically they'll look for different things. They do the lug nut check everywhere. They do they used to do the heights and stuff, but without the ride height rule, they don't do that now. So but it is checked afterwards. But apparently this was something that
mysteriously
blows my
appeared.
mind until it got back to the R&D center.
Yeah.
But you'd think if it's the spoiler's right there in the open. It's not like this is a piece that's inside the engine or anything. So I'm really confused as to why they didn't pick up on it there.
I distinctly remember seeing inspectors counting lug nuts on. In other words, everybody but the winner comes down pit road for just a moment. I've seen people count the lug nuts, and I think I've seen an inspector hold a gauge up against the spoiler to read the angle.
Yep,
Right.
That's what
Now,
I usually say.
I don't know if I've seen them reach from end to end and measure the width of the spoiler or the height, but I've seen them measure the angle. My other question, Kenny, is this. If you, Kenny Bruce, owned a team and your car had gone through, say, 5 or 6 inspections and it had just won a big important race, you had to give your car to NASCAR to go in their hauler to go overnight back to their shop where they get to look at it. And all of a sudden on Tuesday, you get a phone call saying, "Excuse me, Kenny, your car did not pass tech." Are you thinking this is not right? I mean, what recourse would you have?
Well, I mean, as far as recourse, you can appeal the penalty.
Well, yeah.
Which obviously, they have chosen not to do. But I would rather know that the cars are going back to the R&D center, regardless of whose it is, in the hands of NASCAR, than allowing the teams to take them back. Because if somebody beats me, I don't want them going back and having hands on their cars. Now, also, when NASCAR goes through that inspection at the R&D center, the teams are there. They send a group of guys up there to take things off the cars and make sure there aren't any questions or problems or anything like that. So it's not like NASCAR inspects it in a closet somewhere where nobody can see it and then comes out and goes, "Yeah, you failed."
So and I suppose, I think I'm right, I may not be because I'm usually not, but don't they do the laser thing again once? I would think once they get back to the inspection in Charlotte, they do the laser thing all over again.
Now, I don't know that for a fact. I wondered about that myself today when this news came out. I was trying to remember what the process is when they get back there and when they go through that inspection, the Hawkeye system, I think is what they call it.
Right.
When they actually go through that again, is that something that they do post-race? Because you know that most of the stuff, we've seen it time and time again, after the race or while the race is going on, the officials are packing up some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have that claw that they put down on top of the car and all that, and it would be packed up, so they weren't going through that again after the race. But with the Hawkeye, I'm not 100% sure that they go through it when they get to the R&D center.
Randy Hallman in Richmond just a minute ago or two suggested, he said, that to me the most important thing is to get it done and unequivocally cleared as quickly as possible. If they got to bring all that equipment or they got to bring another hauler from Charlotte to the next racetrack, when that team goes home that Sunday night with the winning car, they should know that win's going to stand up.
I agree.
Now, this weekend at Phoenix, the winning car will go back in a NASCAR hauler. You can just imagine the crew and the hauler driver going back to Charlotte or flying back and driving back, hoping that they make it, that they're clear. That just doesn't. That's like the New England Patriots 2 years ago, or the Eagles last year, didn't wait until Monday morning to see if they won the Super Bowl. They knew on the spot. And it seems to me there should be a way that NASCAR could let these teams know before they go home, you're okay.
Yeah. So, now, I will say that NASCAR is in a more difficult position because you're dealing with an automobile.
Well, right.
And
right.
not and where the other sports aren't. But I agree with you 100%. When those guys leave the track on Sunday night, and when the fans leave, everybody should know nothing's going to come up that's going to change anything. You know, we're not going to find something here and announce it 3 days later. You know, that somebody's having their win taken away. The results need to be the results when they leave the racetrack.
Kenny, my last question is this, and I'm sure you've got a good answer for it. Have we reached a time in this sport where if you are egregiously illegal on a Sunday afternoon, you go to the bottom of the payoff sheet, and the second place guy gets the win, the money, the points? Are we there yet?
I think we're awfully close to it, Al. I really do. The only thing is you need to determine, okay, what is severe enough that you're going to say, sorry guys, you don't get the win. We're taking it away. You know, it's you know, you need to come up with the parameters so that everybody's clear on if you do this, you're going to, if you won the race, you're going to lose the win. If you finish second, you're going to be dropped back to last, whatever the case may be. But that needs to be determined ahead of time and up front. And I guarantee you, it would stop a lot of this from going on.
I had always heard, Kenny, that the three things that you did not mess with were tires, fuel, and restrictor plate. That those three things were the holy trilogy. You don't mess with Mr. Goodyear, you don't mess with Mr. Sunoco, and you don't mess with the restrictor plate on your car. I don't know that anybody fiddles with tires much. I don't know that they can do anything with fuel like they used to. Maybe plates are handed out and taken back in. I'm like you. I don't know exactly what would be the death penalty, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I don't know. I mean, you know, what kind of advantage did the Ford team actually gain from whatever it was they did to that spoiler? You know, I mean, it might have been minuscule. Now, granted, he led 177 laps, and everybody wants to say, well, apparently it was a pretty big advantage, and it may well have been, but, you know, I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Kenny, as you well know, you can be just minusculely better in over 334 laps. That builds up to a lot. You only need about a car length or a fender in some cases to win. And I told Randy earlier, I said NASCAR's greatest fear right now is that Harvick does not make Homestead. He wins the Homestead race, and some guy who finishes 13th is the champion because the other three guys were behind him. Can you imagine a scenario when Harvick and Stewart and those people can look back at Texas and claim, y'all owe us one. Y'all screwed us out of this win. My God, you're gonna give it. We're gonna get it back somewhere. So I don't know.
Oh, everybody and their brother would be screaming bloody murder over something like that.
Yeah.
And there's the potential for something like that to happen.
Oh yeah.
But it's when you get to a situation, you can't regulate everything. You can't. I mean, there's no way. And the more rules and regulations you put in there, the more opportunities there are going to be for something to come back and bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened this time.
The really, as you know, we've talked about this probably a time or two, hanging on a set of tires in the garage. Their greatest fear is that somebody who is 0 for 26 makes the playoffs by points, advances to the Final Four, and is the champion with 0 wins. I mean, think about it. It can happen.
It has almost already tried to happen before.
Well, with Newman, yeah.
Yeah.
But in NASCAR NASCAR's great relief, the guy who won the race was also a chase driver. So
Yeah.
if that had been somebody that we hadn't counted on winning, then Newman would be an 0 for 36 champion. You talk about a Monday morning sports talk radio tap dance by NASCAR's people in Daytona Beach. Well, this is how it happened, and this is set up to reward consistency. No, it isn't. It's supposed to be winning. But anyway.
Right. No, you're right. And, if you go back even further, go back to '04 when they put the format in there to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
The entire reason for doing that was because Matt Kenseth won the title in '03, with one win.
With one win, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Benny also won with one win years and years and years ago. But Kenseth's deal was he kind of clinched it 3 or 4 races to go. That was not a good deal at all. Kenny, I'm sorry I will not see you in Homestead in 2 weeks. I will go by the ice cream stand and have a milkshake in your honor.
Oh, please do. Please do, and make sure it's key lime.
Key lime milkshake at Robert is here, right?
You got it. Exactly. I'll
right.
be forever indebted to you.
I'll see you on the media tour.
All right, that sounds good, Al.
Thanks, Kenny Bob. Good night.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
That's it. Kenny Bruce. I don't know why I started calling him Kenny Bob. He's sort of a Southwest Virginia kind of guy. It just seemed like Bob should be part of his name. So,
No.
Kenny Bob Bruce.
I have a question to throw out there to you. Now, they're taking the car back in the NASCAR hauler.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, when they're in the regular haulers, they're not worried about anything happening going back to the shop because they're going to be re-tearing it down. Anything can be happening, bouncing around in there. All sorts of stuff could be happening during the transportation.
Yeah, the owner could say, hey, guys, what's the deal? All right, our last caller. And we're going to take a totally different approach to this question.
Okay.
814-602-4534.
Sounds like Stan.
So you need me to book all your shows. people care about. Come on, Stanley. I told you 749.
Your call has been forwarded.
Try again. You may have misdialed.
Oh, come on.
814
602
602 4534.
34.
Because he knows I'm looking for him.
Your call has been forwarded.
Oh, do you want to leave a message?
Leave a message.
I just sent him a text.
Your message might be about anyway. All right. We were trying to contact Stan Creekmore up in Erie, Pennsylvania. Who, for you people out there who want to know, Stan covered NASCAR for years and years and years. Had a radio show, a TV show. He and I travel a lot together. He's been primarily an NHRA guy for the last 8 or 10 years. And he pointed out to me today that NHRA hardly, while they inspect their cars, their winning cars, NHRA hardly ever finds anybody out of whack. They almost every car in any category passes tech after the race. And if they pass tech after the race, they load it up and take it home, and there they are.
Did they have upper limits?
Well, I was going to ask. That was going to be the whole subject of the 10 minutes. What do they do differently? Do they not look for stuff? Is some of the stuff they look at so exotic and so weird and unique that you can't really look down in those cylinder heads? And I don't know. But we talked this afternoon. He had an answer for why NHRA hardly ever disqualifies anybody. So I don't know where he is. It bothers me because he's not in the best of health. But hell, we talked a couple hours ago. You folks just hang on. We'll figure it out.
There
Stanley,
he is.
there you are.
Yeah, hey, sorry. Our power went out.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't see it answer it the first time.
Oh, okay. You're all right now, though, right?
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I got the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stanley, we talked recently on the show earlier. We talked to Randy Hallman from Richmond and Kenny Bruce from Charlotte about NASCAR inspection, how they do things, how they might do them wrong, what they need to do to make it correct. I just told our viewers and listeners that you are an unabashed NHRA expert. You know everything, most everything.
Oh.
You know a whole lot more than we do. And you told me
Yeah.
today that hardly ever is an NHRA major event final round winner disqualified or taken off the sheet. And you had some reasons why that happens or doesn't happen, and I want you to explain those to our listeners, why inspections are so different over there.
The NHRA has a totally different inspection system. The only time they do every single car that will roll down the track is the first race of the season. That's the only time they do every single car. After that point, they pick 6 to 7 cars across all of their divisions to inspect on a weekly basis. So a top fuel team or a funny car team is looking at their car being inspected 2, maybe 3 times over the course of the year, with one exception. If you bring a completely brand new chassis, then you must pass inspection.
Oh, okay.
To get there. So there isn't unlike NASCAR in NHRA, a lot of these teams run the very same car for 7 or 8 races. And so the NHRA knows what the people have. And there's not this dire need for constant inspection of everybody. So
they're basically just bringing the same chassis each week to the races, and the only thing that actually gets changed out is an engine?
Well, remember, your engine's going to be, if you win the race, you will rebuild, not change, but rebuild your engine 8 times. You will tear it completely apart, and I mean all the way down to a blank, I can't say the word right now.
Just the block, right down to the block.
Yeah, a blank block, right. To a blank block every single time. And you will add new pistons, rings, the whole 9 yards in rebuilding that engine in 1 hour and having it ready to go for the next event or, the next run that you're going to make down the track. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so intensive on a Sunday during race day. And the teams don't have time to cheat. They got an hour to tear it apart and put it all back together just so they can get down the track.
Stanley
this isn't the room to cheat.
Yeah, Stanley, do the do the teams know when they're going to be inspected? They know they're going to be inspected at Pomona in January or February.
Right.
Do they know when during the season they'll be looked at again, or is it random?
It is random.
Oh, okay.
So the teams don't know. And the other thing that's random in the NHRA, and bigger even than their inspection of the cars, is their inspection of the people. Their drug test situation is bigger than what NASCAR is doing even. They're just very, very quiet about it. And we actually had, not this year, but last year, we had one driver who failed the test, and it wasn't drugs that he had. He was still high on the alcohol he had drank the night before.
Oh, okay.
Party too
But it
hard.
cost him a day of racing. There was no question. Boom, you're out. There's no question. You were out immediately. It wasn't you can go and appeal this or anything like that. You're out. You got to go through the process. When you finish the process, you're back in again, and the process takes like 24 hours.
Stanley, let me run something by you from Texas the other day.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how many times the 4-car went through tech. Certainly before qualifying or before practice, maybe before qualifying, maybe a short look after qualifying, something on Sunday morning, and as a winner, certainly something at the racetrack Sunday night.
Yep.
If that number 4 car, Ford, got through all those inspections cleanly, and they let him go on the grid and race and win, why wasn't that enough? Why wouldn't they say, congratulations, load it up, take it home, we'll see you in Phoenix? I mean,
Well,
if you're an owner, aren't you going to make that argument that it was fine until you guys took it back to your shop?
Yeah, I agree with you. And of all those inspections you just named, only one really counted. The one prior to the race. My question is, why didn't NASCAR inspect the spoilers for their thickness prior to the start of the race?
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Is that what they gave?
That's when it should have been done. And if it was done and it passed prior to the start of the race, then how can you say it was nothing but the rocks, the stones, the whatever that came up and thinned it out during the race?
So is that what they're saying was the problem? Was it was too thin?
Yeah, that it was too thin.
Okay.
So it should have passed inspection prior to the start of the race. And the only thing that NASCAR can say is, okay, they used a paint on it that was so thick that all of the sand and everything would wipe off the paint and thereby make it thinner. Well, you know what? You should have known that at the start of the race when you did your inspection. That should have been part of your process. And I just don't think teams should be slapped for a mistake on NASCAR's part. Just like they slapped Jimmy Johnson during the race, made a mistake on his inspection process. Well, now here they are 2 days late slapping the 4 car for whatever they feel caused that situation. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Stanley, where were you a year ago today?
Where was I a year? I was headed to Phoenix.
No, you had passed Phoenix. You were on your way to Pomona.
Yeah, I was on my way to Pomona.
Yeah. We got to Phoenix. We got to Phoenix on Tuesday, and you may have left right away. I don't know. I stayed with Larry, and you may have Did you stay a night, or
think
did you keep right on going?
I think I got in my van and kept on going.
I think you did
I
too.
think
All right.
yeah, because I wanted to be there. I wanted to make sure I made it on Wednesday afternoon for a big press
Oh,
conference.
that's right. They had a big media
Yeah.
deal. Right. Okay.
Yeah, that the NHRA was having.
All right.
You know what? I mean, I love NASCAR racing. I really, truly do. But I love NHRA just a little bit more. Number one, the drivers are far more reachable. They're willing to sit down and talk to you. They're willing to take the good questions. They're willing to expand about everything they're doing in their life. And it just makes it more rewarding as a reporter to run into individuals like that.
Yeah. You're right.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
All right, Stanley. I'm going to. I'm
I
going
got a quick question.
Quickly. Okay.
All right. When you're talking about the inspection with the NHRA stuff, is most of their stuff basically all safety issues? Is what they're going through at the beginning of the year?
It's safety issues, but they're doing a complete chassis inspection. They want to make sure that it falls within all of the rules, because there is some different ways that the teams can make their chassis. So they want to make sure that those chassis fall within all the rules, and then they want to make sure that the bodies, follow the rules as well. Those are the two greatest things that cause problems at any time during the event. There are little things that teams can do to bodies. There are little things they can do to their chassis, and if they get caught doing them, they pay the penalty for it. So, but the NHRA also has this policy that we can cost you points, we can cost you some money, but we don't want to cost you attendance at the event. We want you to come ready to race, ready to do your job. And I'm not sure NASCAR has that same philosophy.
All right, Stanley. I will see you hopefully next spring somewhere down south.
I hope so. I'm trying to get healed here, so I'm doing everything I can.
Find out whether Joe's going to be in Homestead.
I will. I will check on Joe for you tomorrow.
And if he's going to be in Homestead and he's got a bunk in his motor coach that might fit me,
Okay.
I'm suddenly without lodging at Homestead. So I need a couple of nights only. I need Thursday and Friday or Wednesday. No, I'm okay Wednesday. I need something either Thursday and Friday or either one of those days, but I need one or the other, preferably both. Okay?
I will jump into his case tomorrow.
All right.
And see what I can find out for you, okay?
Thank you, Stanley. Take care of yourself.
All right, you all take care and have a great evening.
All right.
You too, Stan.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. All right,
So
everybody.
you got to let me schedule your people.
Well, if you can do some
You
of
gotta
that.
let me. I mean, we had no downtime. We had nobody telling dumbass stories except me. You gotta, Now I will not be here next week or the week after. I'll be at Homestead, and I'll be home on Thanksgiving Eve.
All right, everybody. After all that, we will catch you next week on Let's Talk Racing. And now have yourself a good 2 weeks.